Yes, hello. Thank you very much for the invitation. Look, I would like to remind you the China International Import Expo, now in its third edition, is of critical importance for Latin America. No, it reflects on the one hand China's commitment, long-term commitment to the world, but also specifically to Latin American and the Caribbean. Also, I remind you, China has these integral strategic associations with most of Latin American countries, and this is part of this strategy in the long run. But also very specifically considering that China has become the most dynamic importer in the last 5 years of the world in terms of the share. China is the second importer of the world, only after the United States. No? And this is a particular opportunity for most of Latin American countries to export to China beyond commodities. No? Latin American countries have a lot of national particular export goods that they could export to China, and this is a fantastic opportunity in which few countries of the world do such a deep and profound effort. No?
So talk to us about deepening that engagement, and you know, I noticed, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this, but it seemed like during the trade war between the United States and China, there was an opening for Latin American countries to actually advance some of their exports to China, and are we still seeing that? I mean, how do you build on this?
Look, the year 2020 has been very difficult for the world, for China, for the US also, and particularly for Latin American countries. I remind 2019, almost 19% of Latin American exports went to China. So China has consolidated as the second most important export country from a Latin American perspective. Yes, a group of exports have increased very substantially in 2020. Others have suffered. Transportation has been difficult between Asia and Latin America. But I believe in general, and particularly as a result of such efforts and commitments such as CIIE and the commitment of President Xi regarding opening up, no? I think that there is a huge potential for Latin American exports to China.
And the relationship building, always very important in these events. Chile actually involved in the opening ceremony. Talk to us a little bit about that country's participation.
Right. Well, Chile has a long tradition to have, I would highlight, a very profound and deep relationship with China. I remind you, the main export product of Chile to the world, but also to China, is copper. No? However, and beyond this commodity, Chile has done a very important effort to export additional products. I would highlight products such as wine and salmon, among many others, that have resulted from the efforts of the public sectors, the ambassador of Chile in Beijing, but also of the public sector in China. So I believe it's a good example how other Latin American countries could proceed. By the way, not only Latin America, but also other countries in the world. No?
And, you know, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but talk to us about the pandemic. And you did mention that it's created roadblocks, some difficulties along the way. Is there more opportunity, do you believe, for Latin American countries when it comes to the Belt and Road projects? Or is the pandemic really kind of standing in the way because so many countries right now trying to deal with this runaway virus?
Look, most of Latin American countries and China are not at the same level today. No, today several countries in Latin America are still deeply suffering from a health perspective, but also from an economic perspective, the effects of the pandemic, and are only very slowly recovering contrary to China that started its recovery process several months ago. No? So in general, I believe that probably at the end of the year or in the first quarter of 2021, we could see how specifically the trade relationship between Latin American countries and China evolves. Again, remember, there are very important differences from the Malvinas in the south to Mexicali in Mexico. We have a huge group of countries, but in general, I believe that the commitment of China, as in the case of the CIIE, highlights that China is very open to trade and to imports also from Latin America.
Enrique Dussel, thank you so much for your